بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we're going to start today's lecture with a little quiz. So there is a valid salah that you can make 4 tashahhud, and you can sit and you can do 4 at-tahiyyat. You can say at-tahiyyatu lillahi wa salawat, the whole thing, 4 times in the salah, and the salah is valid. Which salah would it be? And what condition? Think, gentlemen, think, sisters. Open to everybody. So, again, I'll repeat it again. You can say at-tahiyyat 4 times in a salah, and it's still valid. Which salah would that be? And what condition? Yes, my brother.
During running the Maghrib prayer, if anyone missed 2 rakah salah, he got only 1 rakah salah. In that situation, he has to complete the full salah with 4 times at-tahiyyatu.
Ahsan. Very good. So, the answer to that is, so when you make Maghrib prayer, if you miss the first rakah, you miss the second rakah, meaning let's say you miss the ruku' and you catch the second sujood. So you catch the first at-tahiyyat, right? And at that time, it's your first, but you haven't gotten any credit for rakah, right? So 2 rakah, you still have to make up. So first rakah, your own, is going to be the next one, the 3rd rakah, and you're going to sit tashahhud with the imam. He's going to say salam, you're going to get up. When you get up, you're going to do your 2nd rakah. Your 2nd rakah, but now it's going to be a 3rd tashahhud in that one, because it's your 2nd rakah. And then finally the 3rd rakah for yourself, and it'll be the 4th tashahhud. And so it's 4th tashahhud in the same salah, and the salah is still valid. SubhanAllah, right? Just think about these things. Okay, Bismillah. So today, I guess this topic generated a lot of questions. So we're having a question and answer from the last month's topic, which was about, and we called it fitna women. With that, I think we didn't go enough detail of what this means, of fitna women. So what I did today was I was starting to go into the dictionary. And the dictionary that I usually use, we use the app Al-Ma'ani. Al-Ma'ani is a pretty good app where you can go in and you can type in the Arabic word and you can get in all the different terms, right? You could pull up in English, you could put it up in Arabic, however you want it. And so when I went in and started to look up all the different words for fitna, and so I think a lot of times, and so one of the questions is really like, how can women be fitna for men, but men are not fitna for women, right? So it's a confusing topic. So I thought about answering it, and I was like, wait, rather than try to explain it in a way where we don't get anywhere, first we got to get to the root of the word. The root here, or the word that we're going to look at, is fitna. Fitna. So fitna can mean many different things. In one, again, ism in different forms. So fitna spelled the same way. It can be riots, it can be war. So it has a negative connotation. So the ones that we always think about fitna is trial, affliction. But what about the other one? There's another ism for fitna. It means the allure, the attractiveness. It's something that we're unable to overcome. And this is the fitna that we're talking about. The allure of woman, the attractiveness, the loveliness, the lure, the magnetizing, the magnificence, the pull, that splendor, that superbness, that winning over us, that spirit that comes to us. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about fitna of women. That appeal, attraction, enticement, seducement, seduction. These are the different types. And so these are different, all spelled the same way. Fitna. You go to the 4th term. Even it goes into something called bewitchment. You know how somebody has that grab on you? Almost like sorcery, but not sorcery. Captivation. You're captivated by that person, captivated in that moment. Charisma, charm, glamour, infatuation. And even use the word magic and spell. And so everybody, for the record, magic and spell is haram, right? So just to be on the record. But it also, like I said, has a negative connotation. So I want everybody to now rethink. When we think about that, the Prophet ﷺ said that one of the greatest fitnas that I'm leaving behind for men is the fitna of women. So what do you think in this connotation, what does it mean? The fitna of women. The fitna of women here would be that allure, that attractiveness, right? Ali radiallahu ta'ala wardah has been quoted to say that the first look when you see a woman walk by you, and you're walking and you see it, the first look we give you, he said the second look is on you. Meaning you gotta, at that point in time, you have to lower your gaze. You have to start looking down. You have to start, not to get caught up in the desire, in that infatuation. And this is something that we need to control ourselves. And that is, my brothers and my sisters, this is what the Prophet ﷺ here is telling us. And so here today we have a big problem. And I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is that whatever you look at, whether you look at TV, and it doesn't even have to be TV anymore. It's your laptop, it's your computer, it's your iPhone, it's your iPad, it's everything that you can constantly think about. Everything that you can constantly think about, everything is being bombarded. You're being bombarded with everything. Everything that you're thinking about, it's bombardment, constant bombardment. You're just getting this, the pictures, the connotations, you're getting it. I mean, if you wanted to see fitna at its best, if anybody here watched the Super Bowl, you had to walk away at halftime, right? Otherwise, it's pure fitna. That's all it is. It's pure fitna at that point. That pure fitna we're talking about is negativity. And that's how it becomes negative connotation. So, why does Islam, so one of the questions was, why does Islam mention women as fitna and not vice versa? The Prophet ﷺ, remember, he had told the women of what their position should be, the best position for them. That doesn't mean that this is something that everyone has to do. The best position for a sister, for a woman, is to be inside our house, in the deepest part of our house, right? As far away from the main doors as possible, and the place that she should make her salah is in absolute seclusion in the deepest part of the house. So when the Prophet ﷺ is laying down what the foundation for women is, that's to protect yourself from fitna, because you don't want to be part of that conflict that's created. You don't want to be, the fitna that's going to be created is that conflict that's created next. Another question was related to wearing niqab, and I think we cleared this up, but apparently there's still some questions related to it. Is wearing niqab an obligation? Niqab meaning the face covering. Does a woman's face have to be covered? What do you think? Yes or no? Does it have to be covered? No. Kids are saying no. Adults, you guys okay? Does it have to be covered? Should we cover everybody? Difference of opinion, but generally speaking, the standard opinion, if you go across all scholars, is that the face and the hands can be exposed, right? For the most extent. But the niqab, different scholars have different opinions. So some say that everything should be covered, including hands and face. Allahu alam, the most middle opinion is probably, at the least, the head, everything down, from the neck down, all the way to the feet, and some say including the feet. That should be covered. So meaning, if you had hands and, face and hands uncovered, that's okay. And then, like I told you, a weak opinion is to keep the feet uncovered as well. If it's hot outside, they say that it's okay, inshallah. But the niqab is not something that is an obligation. It's not an obligation, Allah Ta'ala alam, according to the majority of the scholars, because if it was an obligation amongst the majority of the scholars, you would see majority of the Muslim women being covered up, and they don't. Majority of them don't cover up, and they're not required to be covered up. And even in Saudi Arabia, they're loosening the standards a little bit as well, right? To become a little bit more pro-travel and whatever. May Allah bless them. May Allah guide them, inshallah. Any questions on these two first? So any follow-up that we need on fitna? So just understanding the word fitna itself. And number two, understanding the niqab. Then there was another question, and this is related to the verse in Surah Ahzab. يَا أَيُّهَا النَّبِيُّ قُلْ لِأَزْوَاجِكَ وَبَنَاتِكَ وَنِسَاءِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ يُدْنِينَ عَلَيْهِنَّ مِنْ جَلَابِيبِهِنَّ. Jalabibihin, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhan nabi. So I think the confusion, first confusion comes out is that the Prophet ﷺ is directly being told. So the first confusion comes out because Allah addresses the people in different ways. He says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O Muslims, O believers. He addresses everybody. Right? Yeah, meaning all the believers. Or he'll say, Ya ayyuhal insan. This is all people of the world. Believing and non-believing people. Here, he says, Ya ayyuhan nabi. And he's talking about the Prophet. To the Prophet, Ya ayyuhan nabi, O Prophet of Allah, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Make your wives, here, right? Make your wives, banatik, your daughters. And then who else? وَنِسَاءِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَنِسَاءِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. The believing women. The believing women. So it's clear in here. So the address is to the Prophet. He's telling them to tell to your wives and your daughters and all of the believing women. Who do you think the believing women are here? No, but it's the wives already. He already says. He says, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu qul li azwajik. Azwaj is wives. Banatik, daughters. وَنِسَاءِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Who is he referring to? The rest of the believing women. The rest of the believing women. So the question here was, in this verse, Allah commands the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how do you know if this applies to all adult Muslim women? I don't know if did anybody see the confusion here and then the order is clear that the wives of the true believers, they should cast their outer garments over their persons. So here is where the scholars differ. Many of them say that they took a sheet and they put it on top of themselves, and so they dropped it above, like meaning even covering their face. So this is where a lot of the scholars who use the opinion of the niqab, they use this verse as the dalil, as the evidence that the women should cover their faces as well. Allah Ta'ala alam. This is one of the evidences. Again, it's very clear in this. It's very clear in this that jalabibihin, it was ordered to the Prophet's wives, his daughters, and Nisa al-Mu'minin, the believing women. It's very, like I said, very clear to me. It's in the verse. If anybody wants to contest the verse, I don't know how you're going to do it and how you're going to, justify. Because they're saying, so if the question is, this is an order that came to the Prophet ﷺ. Well, there's a lot of orders that came to the Prophet ﷺ, and we fulfill those orders as well. So whatever came to the Prophet, we follow as well. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends through the Prophet, He sent through the Prophet the revelation, the entire Quran. The Prophet ﷺ was also inspired through sunan, through hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So when we have Quran, the revelation, we have the sunnah, the way of the Prophet ﷺ being explained to us through the Prophet ﷺ. So if a verse singles out the Prophet ﷺ and says, your wives, your daughters, but then he says, tell the other women as well. It didn't stop at your wives and your daughters. So if that's not enough, then we look at the actions of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ and their way with their wives and their daughters. What did they start to do? They started to also cover up. Their daughters and their wives covered up as well. They said the Prophet ﷺ's wives received the order, their daughters received the order, and we as Muslim women as well. Muslimat. وَنِسَاءِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. All the women of the believers. All the women of the believers. Believing women and the women of the believing men. They were all ordered to comply and to follow. Any questions on this? Any confusion on this? Maybe I'm missing the point. Okay. Yes. No. Just take a mic and if you're no? Okay. Yes, my brother. Here's a question.
Okay, the question that I have is, what constitutes, there's an opinion, what constitutes niqab exactly? Like, can a woman cover her face and leave her hands open? Or does it have to be the face and the hands? Is the hands included with the covering of the face?
So the question is so if a woman decides to, or a sister decides to cover and use niqab, the niqab, generally speaking, it's the face, right? And the hands, like I said before, the face and the hands were something that could be left open. Allah Ta'ala alam, the best form of niqab would be to cover your face and the hands. The sister should cover the face, the hands, the feet, everything would be covered from head to toe. That is the ultimate. But like I said, there's opinions, and the majority of Muslimin agree, the majority of the scholars say, at the least, what should be covered is, or everything should be covered except for two major parts, the face and the hands, and like I told you, there's a weaker opinion about the feet. Allahu Alam. So if you wanted to have your wives, your daughters, your sisters cover up and have full niqab, the best way to do it would be to cover their face, meaning their head, their face, all the way down, hands and feet, inshallah. That would be the best form of the niqab. Inshallah, there's a question, and I think there's different terms, jilbab, khimar, hijab, and also niqab. So we'll go through a little bit of those as well. So any questions on these so far? No? Everybody good? Tired. It was a tough day, right? Raining all day, working all day. Yes, my brother. There's a question right here.
Actually, this is not question. I can add some point here. In Quran, Allah Ta'ala said, Ya Prophet, asks women, they should not talk to men so politely or so cutely so that the men can be attracted to the women.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks.
And there was one of the other questions as well. So one of the questions was, women are prohibited to show their beauty to the opposite gender that are non-mahram, meaning that these are people who are not related, men that are not related to them. So where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? So that's an interesting question, right? It's an interesting situation. I think majority of us are in right now. So we work with Muslim sisters now, right? So men and women are usually working together at work, right? When we're having events, there's sister volunteers, there's men volunteers, and to what extent is that mixing allowed? So here, it's more general in nature. Women are prohibited to show their beauty to non-mahram opposite gender. Do we agree with that statement? That was this part of the statement. Everybody okay with that? So, when I read something, when I read a question, I just make sure that I understand the point first, and then it says, how do we draw that line? How do we draw that line? In a similar situation, there was another question, and I wanted to try to group these two together because it talks about free mixing as well. So what is considered free mixing, right? Mixing between men and women. And when is it prohibited? And how do the classical scholars define it, and how do they apply it? So, number one thing, the main prohibition is the first prohibition would be between a male and a woman to be alone at any given point in time. Meaning, if there's an office and if there's a private meeting, and I have a habit of doing this myself, where I will leave the door propped open just a little bit. Meaning, it's not a closed door meeting, anybody can just knock and walk in. Meaning, or the curtains, if you have those see-through glass windows, making sure that there's nothing blocking it and everything can be seen visibly as if anybody's passing by, right? If you're in conference rooms, you're not dropping the shades. So if it's one-on-one, you as a male supervisor or a male colleague at the equal level, or supervisor to employee relationship, we should always, remember the Prophet ﷺ has told us not to be alone. Because who is the third one amongst them? Shaitan. The Prophet ﷺ said that the third person amongst the male and the female alone in an area, the third one amongst them is the shaitan. So you want to control that. So no man is alone with a woman except the third one present is the shaitan. And this is narrated in At-Tirmidhi. And this is classed as Sahih. Whoever believes in Allah in the last day, let him not be alone with a woman who does not have a mahram with her, for the third one present will be the shaitan. The third one present will be the shaitan. So number one rule is, you're not going to be alone. So that mixing there is disallowed. Number two, prohibition on shaking hands in any type of touching. It was funny. I saw, we have this a group meeting on a regular basis, And this one woman, I always see her, she doesn't want to shake hands, right? And she always says, oh, I have, So a lot of people today, these days, they use germs, right, as a good reason for not shaking hands. I was like, oh, that's good. You know what? Maybe I'll start that too. Oh yeah, I'm suffering from a cold or something and so I see her all the time. She goes, you want to bump elbows? And I'm like, no hands, no elbows. It's better if we don't bump elbows either. Alhamdulillah, right? So you want to try to, again, you try not to shy away from your faith. You don't shake hands, but if you want to be a little bit more subtle about it, hey, I'm not feeling well or whatever, and you want to pull your hand back, be like, hey, it might be contagious, just stay away. You can use that, but again, I would always tell you, people are very open about showing disbelief. People who practice disbelief, people who practice kufr, they're very open to share that with you. Why not we be open and share Islam with people, right? Belief, iman, right? Faith is very important. So we should share that. So we should be pretty clear. Hey, listen, we don't shake hands with women. And why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said so. Very simple. A lot of times we're trying to come up with excuses. Let's try to stay away from excuses as much as possible. Prohibition on a man looking at a woman. So the mixing, prohibition on that man looking at the woman directly, right? So like constantly staring. And I've seen it. People are sitting in gatherings and the weddings are together and the men and women and they're looking at each other. The other person is staring. The other person is staring there. The cameraman is staring. The cameraman is on the one that he likes the best, right? So you see all of this happening, and this is happening in front of our faces. And we're not stopping that mixing. So that mixing, that gathering, we need to separate it. You know what the biggest thing was? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Where he made that division, where he made that barrier inside of the masjid. Inside of the masjid. He made the men stand all the way in the front. He said that the men, they get the most reward in the first row right behind the imam. And the women, they get the most reward in the back of the masjid next to the wall. The last row is the best row for the woman. And the first row is the best for the man. So he made that separation 1400 plus years ago. The men all the way in the front, the women all the way in the back. That doesn't mean that they're inferior to us and that's why they're in the back. For those of you men who are fully grown and who understand this concept, how would it just think about it. A group of women is praying here and we're standing behind them. How does that look? That doesn't look appropriate at all. So this is the reason. It's because of inappropriateness and because you know that if the women are praying in front of us, where are you going to be concentrating? You're going to be concentrating on your sujood? Heck no. Right? So that's going to be a problem. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ realizes what the understanding of men is, what our weaknesses are. زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ The highest, the biggest thing, the first thing mentioned of our desires is women. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this in the Quran. So just think about it. How this entire formation takes place. So prohibition on men looking at women directly. Then prohibition, as the brother was saying, on speaking softly in the case of women. And I remember the sheikh, the way he explained it, he said if somebody calls at home and the sister picks up the phone and she says, the brother says, Muhammad home. Is she gonna, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Yes, mashallah. Thank you very much for calling. How does that sound, right? As opposed to the sheikh says, no. You're going to say, Muhammad is not home. Muhammad is not home. Call back in 10 minutes. Call back in an hour. Call back after Isha. And hang up the phone, right? You're not being rude. It's just like you're not supposed to beautify your voice for someone who it's not supposed to be beautified for, right? So these are things. The Prophet ﷺ tells us this. Don't be soft in speech. Unless there's a disease in the heart. Unless there's a disease in the heart. But speak in an honorable manner. Meaning you speak, yes, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Is Brother Muhammad home? No. Call back after Isha. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Khalas, finish. Conversation is finished for the sister. So these are things that these are already mentioned in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ on how how to address the people, how to address the other men. And then obligation to cover the awrah. Subhanallah, brothers. Living in this country in the summertime, subhanallah. It's a very, very, very grave concept. Us, the men, it's absolute fitna. Now, do you see the fitna at least in the disbelieving women? Men, brothers. Do you see the fitna in the disbelieving women in the summertime? Yes. Are you able to go to the beach at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Right? Full fitna everywhere. That's the fitna we're talking about. We're not talking about fitna from our ladies that are covered up. When you see a sister who's covered up versus a sister who's not, or a non-Muslim woman who's not covered up, your eyes are naturally going to go that way. For that way. If you read psychological behaviors of men treat, majority of the things, when men look at a car, be like, oh, yeah, right? You have that attachment, that allure is there, right? It's that same concept, a different level, right? Psychologically, it's different, but that's how they look at a woman. That's how they look. And this is something that we need to control. So, woman's awrah in front of non-mahram is all of her body. All of her body. And then, like I said, some include the face and hands, others don't. Allahu alam. Whatever opinion you want to follow, whatever opinion you as brothers with your families and sisters that you want to follow, inshallah, they're, like I said, the valid. The least that should be exposed is just the face, the hands, and I told you before, the feet at a more weaker opinion. Let me stop here for a second. Let me ask any questions here. Any questions here? So this is in terms of intermingling, mixing with the opposite sex, right? So men and women, they're separate inside of the masjid. When you're working together, keep it professional. What's work-related, you need to ask the sister something, or you're asking sisters to do something. You're on a conference call. We're on conference calls all the time. I'm part of a Boy Scouts group and a Cub Scouts group, and there's sisters and their brothers, and everybody's talking and everybody's sharing their ideas. Keep it professional. Keep it to the subject matter. Keep the goals in order. You have an agenda. This is the things that we're going to talk about. When people are getting out of line, you need to, step in, take charge, and make sure that the conversation ends at that point in time. No silliness. This is where things turn bad anyways, right? Jokes, we have a lot of different things to say. These are the things that we need to stay away from, inshallah. Allah ta'ala alam. Questions before I move on? So the next question was about a widow. So the widow wants to know about, so now she's widow, meaning her husband has passed away, and she wants to remarry. And so what is the line? What is that line? Because she wants to be able to talk to other brothers, How does she get to meet other brothers? How does she get married again? She wants to get married again. She has, it's her right. She was married. Her husband passed away. She's past the iddah period. The months and days are past. Now she's able to get married again. What would you propose to her? What would you say? Yes. Of course. That's what I would start with. So the first response was, start with a friend circle, meaning her inner circle with the sisters, right? The reason why we're having a big time trouble right now in trying to get a lot of our brothers and a lot of sisters married is because that inner circle is lost or is partially inactive. It's partially inactive. A lot of sisters are in the workforce, so when they come home, they're tired, they're busy, right? A lot of the sisters now, they're educating themselves. There's nothing wrong with educating yourselves, but now the goal with that education is to get jobs, to get careers, to move on in life, to have financial freedom, not having to rely on the man, the husband. So a lot of these thought processes are put into these people's minds at younger ages. And so we're going through these different stages. And so what's happening is, in the community, it's much more difficult to get married. It's very difficult to get married. Would you agree? It's not as easy, right? How many people here had a list of 100? Be like, mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. All these are good, but I'm going to pick this number 72. No. We get a few options, right? we get a few options, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe, and then, if you're really picky and really choosy about it, either on the sister side or on the brother side, and you just can't make it meet, it's very difficult. So I would tell the sister who's widowed to start with a sister circle first. Start with a sister circle, start inside of the masjid. So first in your neighborhood, community, and then here inside of the masjid. This is one of the reasons why we should encourage all our brothers to come to the masjid on a regular basis, right? It develops community bonding. It allows you to know each other. It allows you to know who you are. We get to know your background a little bit. We get to know a little bit about you. You get some friendships going. You go through your friends. You go through your families. This is how you get introduced. This is how you get married. Now what do? We're looking for matchmakers. The matchmakers are not looking in their best interest, right? What are they looking for? They're looking for money. They're getting paid. So what do you think? If you're getting paid to do something, are you gonna get that best match? Probably not. You're just gonna be like, it's the best match you have that's already paid you. It's the best paid match there, right? And even the online sites, right? I know they're running these algorithms and they say it's getting up to 97% accuracy in terms of being able to take the person and from both sides, the male and the female, and putting them together and combining them perfectly. And I was like, think about it. How can a computer, how can an algorithm, how can numbers tell you the story? Right? It's very difficult to understand that concept. And if that's where we're running, is we're not valuing our relationships, and we're valuing more monies, and we're valuing more all of these other criteria, does she work? What does she do? How much does she make? What does he do? How much does he make? These are the things that we're more concerned with. But if I were you, I would tell the kids not to hold, as a parent, right? I got kids right here in front of me, right? I, as a parent, would encourage them to start thinking about getting married at the high school, college age, right? Encourage them, in a few years, we need to start getting you married. Inshallah, if there's something that that interests you, bring it to our attention. But this is the criteria. Must be Muslim. Number one, lay down the criteria today. The sister has to be Muslim. For the brothers as well. The sisters as well. The brother has to be Muslim. No doubt about it. Not that, 5-second conversion thing, right? I saw it the other day in the masjid. The brother and sister met to each other. The guy goes, and I asked him, what are you taking shahada for? It's complicated. I was like, what's the complication? He goes, well, I met her. She introduced me to Islam. I was like, did you meet her? Or Islam came before her? No, I met her first. Now Islam. I was like, because you need to get married to her. Yes. I was like, subhanAllah. Right? It's okay to do that, but you don't know, what are you getting yourself into, right? This is a brand new Muslim, right? And if you were born into a Muslim family, now how does that entire relationship work? We don't take the next steps. We don't think about all the other steps that take place. There's non-Muslim family members in there now, right? There's how are you going to deal with all the non-Muslim holidays and children? This is a country where I would personally, the shuyukh allow it, right? The Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to marry the women of the Ahlul Kitab. But in this country, if your children are not going to be Muslim, then this is something that some of the shuyukh have said, hey, listen, if you're living in a country where you're going to lose your children, and they're not going to be Muslims anymore, this is something that you need to think about before you get into that relationship, right? Because there's no written contract that can say, hey, they must be Muslim, and the person has to abide by it. It's nothing that will take. There's nothing that's written in stone like that. So you have to take that into consideration. Yes.
Are there conditions to marrying outside? Are there conditions to marrying a female that is Jewish or Christian?
The conditions basically are that she's going to respect the faith, and she's going to protect your home, and then when the children are born, that they're going to be Muslims. So there are conditions. There is a series of conditions. We can go through it at another time, inshallah. But there's definitely conditions that you have to go through in order for it to be an accepted marriage under Islamic rule. Right? Allah Ta'ala. We can get into that a little bit more. So the sister that we were just addressing from the widow, start with the sisters, and inshallah then, if we need be, maybe pass on the message to some of the shaykh of the masjid, the imam of the masjid, the people in the masjid, and maybe the brothers inside of the masjid can also, talk about this issue and, help the sister out, inshallah. This is something that's very important. We need to support our own brothers and sisters, right? So if a brother has lost a wife or a sister has lost her husband, this is something that we need to help. We need to help each other out. And so sometimes, this is the best thing that we can do, is to help each other out. And in turn, you're helping yourself out as well. And this is something that the Prophet ﷺ put very high on the list, that you help out the widower, inshallah ta'ala. Allah ta'ala alam. I wanted to just quickly go over jilbab. Jilbab, so the question was, what is the difference between jilbab, hijab, khimar? So jilbab is any loose outer garment that covers the woman and conceals her body shape, right? So majority of any covering, so it's a general term. So jilbab is something that's general. Hijab is more of the head scarf that comes over the head and covers the neck area, the hair, the whole of the head and the hair. This is what the hijab would be. The khimar refers to a very long piece of cloth that drapes all the way from the head to the elbows or the hands. In fact, in a lot of cases, it extends to the knees and even past the knees, and even up to the feet. So these are the differences. It's just different terminologies used by different personnel across the country, across the world, which in different countries, hijab has a different meaning, jilbab may have a different meaning, khimar may have a different meaning, abaya. So there's a lot of different terms that are thrown out that are used, but it's describing basically some type of Islamic gear for women, Islamic outerwear for women, inshallah. Allah ta'ala. Any questions at this point? I think there's a few more questions. Let me just look at if we have a few more minutes. So what does Islam say about women who pursue their careers and get married? They put it aside for a little while, right? And a lot of times, a lot of us in our own houses, in our own back, areas, we also usually tell them, hey, listen, we want you to become a doctor. We want you to become a lawyer. We want you to go get your CPA. We want you to get your studies, And I don't know what the reasoning behind it is. Sometimes I can get, if I were to gather the information and try to comprehend it, I'm thinking that they're thinking like, hey, if something goes wrong in this relationship, at least they can support themselves. Allahu alam. I don't know if that's the reasoning or what the reasoning is, why. But Islamically, you should try to get married as soon as you can, as soon as you're able to. Physically able, majority of us will be physically able. It's usually the financial aspect of it, right? The financial aspect usually dictates a lot. One of the first questions of the father of the bride, the future bride, is going to ask the male is what? How much do you make, right? What do you do and how much do you make? Unfortunately, if you make zero, they'll be like, what are you going to, you can't feed yourself, how are you going to feed her? Right? It's a big issue. No, but it's a real issue, right? We laugh about it, but it's a real issue. And you have to be able to work, and you have to show that there are certain things that you're doing in your life, whether you're pursuing studies, you're pursuing an education degree, a MD, PhD, you're doing something in your life that is going to make sure, or you're running your own business. If you don't want to pursue education anymore, you're getting technical skills, you're doing, it can be anything that's halal, right? Don't look down on any careers, don't look down on any types of hobbies, right? Always make sure that all people are considered with all types of jobs. I think the issue is we are pursuing a degree, but it's for a goal of earning money. If we just change that a little bit, and when I say change that a little bit, it's more from a psychological perspective. How do you change it? You change it by making it, yes, go study, but let's fill a need within the community. Let's fill a need within the community. We need more counselors in the community, right? We need more attorneys, more Muslim attorneys in the community, right? Because we have a lot of legal cases that we are unable to battle. I think we have more than enough doctors in our community, mashallah, right? More than enough, alhamdulillah, right? So everybody, inshallah, if you're sick, we can get you a Muslim doctor these days. But if you have a legal issue, very hard to find the right legal attorney, right attorney with the right legal expertise, right, to address that issue. We don't have enough of our people. I've seen a lot more in the police force, I haven't really seen many in the fire department, So like there's a lot of different things that we need. We need people to fulfill those roles. And so what I would say is the sisters, if you want to be a part of a role that fulfills a need within the community, that's what we should pursue, and that's what we should push our sisters in. And if that's what you're pushing yourselves to, that's great. But if at the end of the day you want to become a doctor because it equals money means I can get a big house, I can get a big car, I can do all this, then that's something that I would say that you need to see in that mindset. Allah Ta'ala alam. Any questions? Say it again. Spelling of the website? Which website? I'm sorry, which website? Oh, I'm sorry, it was in a website. It was our dictionary. It was called Al-Ma'ani. Alif Lam. Al-Ma'ani. Mim, Ain, Alif, Nun, Ya. Or in English, closest English approximation to it, M-A-A-N-E-E, Ma'ani. M as in Mary. Ma'ani. Al-Ma'ani. And if you look up the word fitna, it goes into the detail of the different terms that I went through, all the different uses of it in the ism. Ism is the most closest Arabic terminology to the noun. But as you know, in our Arabic studies, we never say noun, right? We always say ism because it's more clear. And it actually it's more definitive, meaning it defines a better word. So if you went to Al-Ma'ani, typed in Fa, Ta, Nun, Ta, Al-Marbuta, which is closed Ta, you put those 4 letters in there, and you see all the different definitions in the English, inshallah ta'ala. So we use Al-Ma'ani. We also use a hardcover dictionary. If anybody's interested in purchasing, this might be a little bit expensive for some people. It might be like 60, 70, 80 bucks. It's called Al-Mawrid, M-A-W-R-I-D, or in the Arabic, Alif, Lam, Mim, Waw, Ra, Dal, Al-Mawrid. Allah Ta'ala alam. Yeah, so it's not a website, it's actual dictionary, inshallah. Okay, let's see if we covered the widow's question, free mixing, beauty, fitan, we went through that, the verse, the different terminologies, inshallah, and the careers and getting married aside. I wanted to point out, unless there's any question before I make this remark. Questions, sisters, brothers? Yes, there's a question back here.
Just curious, what's considered a reasonable dowry?
What's considered a reasonable dowry?
Yeah.
So reasonable, from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, reasonable is the personal standard. There's nothing written. Because if it was written down, that would be law. So it's never been written. So the Prophet ﷺ has told many of the companions to go and get a dowry, gets a gift for the wife. And he was able to get absolutely nothing, and he said, do you know any of the Quran? So even a surah was laid down as a dowry. So that I'm going to this surah that I've memorized and understood, I'm going to teach this to the wife, and that's going to be the dowry. And that's been accepted. If you wanted to get a steel ring is absolutely worthless. If you talk about money-wise, steel ring, few bucks, right? We're talking about 10, 20, 30, 40 bucks maybe, and that's it. It's dowry, it should be what's reasonable for you, meaning as the male. And then the sister, if she has if she has a request, the best dowry is as easy as possible within the relationship. But what is easy for you is what you should try to propose, and if you can, challenge yourself and see if you can get her a bigger gift, right? This is supposed to be, so we treat marriage and we treat the opposite sex, meaning the opposite gender, the wife, as not as important. So if we were to say, hey, it's supposed to be as cheap as possible, it's supposed to be as free as possible. No. You look in the mirror and check yourself. Where are you in life? How are you doing? You got no debts, you don't have anything. Give her a nice gift, nice gift that she's going to be happy with, right? You know, I like the wedding rings and stuff, like the engagement rings. Again, I try to stay away from the rings and stuff. But if that's something that you wanted to bring into the equation, into the relationship, like I heard somebody in the office, and it was a lady saying this, a non-Muslim lady saying this to another lady where we were working together in an audit team, and she said that the person should have to spend at least 2 months' salary to purchase it. And I looked, I was like, wow, 2 months' salary. SubhanAllah, I was nowhere close. Even at that time when I was still, young and growing, right? My salary is small now your salary is bigger. And that's the other thing too. Don't run after money. Don't run after a process. Run after something that makes sense for you. That's going to, inshallah, the money's going to come. Don't run after money. Never ever have to run after money. Run after process. Understand where you're going and understand where the company is headed and where this company is headed. And if you made a mistake, that's okay. You correct yourself. But don't run after money. But if you have money now, and now you're getting into a marriage, you should come up with a proportionate gift. A gift that shows her that you really are committed to this relationship. Right? So a lot of people are saying, hey, I just want to put $500 down. SubhanAllah. I mean, that's it. This is supposed to be something that's supposed to make you think twice about, turning away from your wife, right? The dowry is something that you don't back. It's a gift, it's given. And this is what you're giving into the relationship. Then just think about what you've put into it. Again, think about where you are in life. That's what I'm saying, constantly saying, is think about where you are. If you're in a good position in life, try to make it a nice gift. Think about it as a gift, fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah. Even if she doesn't want it, be like, hey, no, I want you to have this. That's nice. That's something that's coming from you, from your heart. If you're good in this life and Allah blesses you, you'll do it right, and you do it right once, you'll see the blessings all the way throughout. Because now, who is this person? So this is a person that's married to you. This is a person that's going to be the mother of your children, right? This is a person that's going to be your support. Last month in this masjid, we covered the life of the Prophet Ayyub alayhi salatu wasalam. And his wife, while Ayyub alayhi salam was absolutely sick, bedridden, she did everything for him. So much so that she shaved her head off for her husband just so she can get money for her husband to feed him, to give him water, and to give him medication. That's Ayyub alayhi salam, the Prophet Job. May God's peace and blessings be upon him. This is something serious. This is a wife, right? And so if you treat her like this, then one day when you need her, she's going to be there for you. But if you're not taking care of her, you're not, and it starts from that time. Just, and even if you wanted to give her a gift and you can't, you don't have to give it right away. You can give it over time. Be like, hey, listen, I wish I could give you $50,000. I wish I could give you a $100,000 gift, but I don't have it right now, but inshallah, I'm going to definitely do it. You do it. You commit yourself to it, but make sure you do it then, inshallah. Try to do what you can at that time and to give it right away. But if you're unable to, you can make a plan to give it over time, inshallah. Allah ta'ala. So the remark that I was going to make was very quick. How much time do you have, brother? Brother Adi? Okay, perfect. So the remark I was going to make is just about getting into these relationships, right? A lot of people want to get married. A lot of people want to get into a situation. But it's difficult for some people. Right? It's very difficult for some people. It's very difficult. I know a Muslim brother. He's been struggling for years. He hasn't been able to get married. Right? He's been looking for something, and that just hasn't been popping up. He's been absolutely expecting something, and it just hasn't been there. Every person that he's met, he's inquired about, and at some point, at some stage, it fell apart because we're looking for something that may or may not be there, right? When you're offered a relationship, right? The things that you should be looking for. What are the things? What is the first thing you should be looking for? Religion is the number one thing, right? From a religious person, because if a person is religious, meaning if a person is true to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm talking about truly true to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all the others are taken care of, right? The status, the wealth, the property, everything else that comes with that, the beauty. Allah makes everything else look so much easier. A person who is absolutely committed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's something that we want to all be. And the same thing with the sisters. If you look at a person who is 100% committed to the deen of Allah, who's committed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, constantly attached to the masjid, constantly attached to the Quran, constantly taking care of the people around him, feeding the poor, doing different things, subhanAllah, that's the relationship that you should go for. But what are we really looking for? We're always looking for what the movies show us, right? The movies show us an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour clip of what one little event is going to be. We're looking for this made up love, made up desire, made up shubuhat, right? These are frustrations, these are desires within our minds, and this is what we are looking for. And so what do? We get really dressed up, right, for weddings because it's supposed to be really grandiose. And then you need the perfect pictures. And then you have to have the perfect flowers. And you have to have the perfect tables, right, with the table coverings. And the things on the table, whatever you call them, the flowers and whatever else, it has to match. And then you have all the family members, they have to wear a certain type and certain color and certain color shoes and certain color suits and ties. And so we get really overboard with it. For what? For a party, right? The portion that should be very simple is to get in. The end, to get into the relationship should be something extremely simple, right? I would spend more money on dowry. I would spend more money on feeding the people, like, come in here inside the masjid, have the nikah done here, right? Inshallah, once we have our full state-of-the-art gym done and we have the upstairs in the full yard open up, we'll have walima ceremonies upstairs, inshallah ta'ala, right? We'll separate the men, the women. Keep it simple, right? Have it upstairs, keep the money inside the masjid, have the money flowing through here. And if the parents really want to deck it out, hey, rather than spend $50,000 on a wedding, why don't you take that $50,000 and give it to the kids so they can live their life? That's the way you're supposed. That's the way that would make sense. That's how I would tell everybody. Rather than spend all this money on a party, on a nikah, on a walima ceremony, and then you're having something else, and they do all these other bid'ahs. Like not even bid'ahs. There's just one. I think some of the things that we have incorporated into the whole wedding is 100% haram even, and we should try to stay away from that. We should try to just get into the habits of following the sunnah. Nikah, simple, right? Within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you have witnesses. You want to bring family and friends, do it inshallah, get into it quickly. You want to spend money, travel inshallah. When you're younger, when you're newly married, I would tell you that it's the best time to travel, right? Once the kids start coming, it's a little bit more difficult to get out and travel. But then it happens more far apart. Travel right away. Travel as much as you can. Because travel is part of our current life. It's culturally accepted. Go, if you want to make it a little bit more religious, do Umrah, go to Hajj, do different things, right? Go to Palestine, go, check out Bayt al-Maqdis, if you want to make it religious. But if you want to make it non-religious, meaning you want to go and see some of the other Muslim countries and the beauty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided, please, do what you can. What you put into the marriage is what you get out of it. If you don't put much into it, you don't get much out of it. You got to put into it. And both parties. If one party's always putting and the other party's always taking, that's going to be a turnoff. That marriage is definitely going to end at one point. At some point, it's going to end. Majority of the times. There's very few people that can consistently give and never worry about the other person constantly taking. But you have to make sure that both parties are in it completely, totally together, and that they're doing it fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah, that they're going to have children, inshallah. This is the mother of the children, this is the father of the children. These are lineage is important to us, Islam is important to us, understanding, teaching them morals, utmost, respect for the people, individuals around you. These are things that we focus on, inshallah. You have a question?
If I want to go Hajj, what I got to do?
I'm sorry, say it again?
How much I got to save if I want to go Hajj?
Go about Hajj?
Yeah.
What about it? I'm sorry, I didn't
I always wanted to go Hajj, but I want to know what I got to do, like saving, like how much I got to save.
You always want to go to Hajj and you want to save, inshallah. Inshallah, I can talk to you offline, inshallah. I think they were trying to start certain programs and stuff. Inshallah, we'll see if some of the programs will be available for you as well. Let's take that offline, inshallah. I'll talk to you afterwards, inshallah. We definitely can try to see if we can help out. I just have a few more minutes. If any final questions, inshallah. Yes, my brother. Yeah, absolutely.
I noticed that in different gatherings, that many of the people who give more respect to non-Muslim teachers if you were in the college or the university than they would to the scholar of Islam when your words and your knowledge is more important than that of the university. And could you expand on that?
Yeah.
Because it disturbs me when I come into gatherings and I see people, they neglect the chain of knowledge that the scholar represents, and they respect the non-Muslim professor, but the scholar that is
Right.
termed or they act like they disrespect by talking and doing other frivolous things.
So the question here is about the proper manners in front of the teachers. And so the brother was saying that many of us, when we go to the university and we're sitting in front of a non-Muslim professor, we're of utmost respect, we're ready, we're attentive, we have our notebooks, we have ready, basically, we're going to listen, we're going to be very attentive, we're going to take our notes, and we're going to take everything away, as opposed to when it comes to our religious knowledge, and we're trying to acquire that from our scholars, and that students are not showing that same type of adab, same type of manners in terms of listening and giving that person full attention. Allahu Alam, I would say exactly what you just started with, starting with a non-Muslim professor, meaning, remember, universities and colleges that we go to, they're not in the profession of just providing education, they're in the profession of making money, right? Money is the objective, meaning they have a certain goal that they need to reach, and they're also teaching on top of that. So, and what are we doing? When we go to the university, we know that we got to sit there and listen, and we're going to get a grade. And at the end of that grade, when we get a degree, we finish all our requirements, we're going to get a degree, and we can get money, right? As opposed to, again, the Prophet ﷺ said that I'm not worried about my people running and going and committing shirk and, following other disbelievers and becoming, disbelievers themselves. You'll see, little people here and there just because they're totally, misunderstood, that they just don't understand the religion. The people within our faith, these are individuals that are, they're not following the religion. They're staying away from it because they don't see the immediate benefit. There's no money associated with it, right? So they're more involved in the dunya. They're more involved in the worldly life. And so what I would tell you, and as the brother has clearly identified, when you're in, gatherings, please, especially with our scholars of Islam, right? People who have spent their lives studying the deen, studying the knowledge, and they're spreading this knowledge for the sake of Allah to the people. And they're trying to keep the people united, and they're trying to have the people stay Muslims, right? They practice properly in accordance with the Quran, in accordance with the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that we give them the utmost respect, right? That we listen to them attentively, right? And how do you listen attentively? You look straight at them, you're concentrating on them, you're taking notes, you're asking questions that are intelligent questions related to how to apply this to yourself in today's world, today's life, and how to apply it and help the society, help the community, to bring the community up, because we're really far away, right? Look, how many Muslims are in here? Like in Friday prayer, we don't have enough room to stand. We have to shorten the rows. You see the musallas? We shorten these musallas up because everybody knows that if you miss 3 Jummahs in a row, what happens? There's a seal on the heart, right? So everybody knows that you're going to become a person of disbelief. You're going to come into that side of the coin. And so they know that you need to flood the masjid on Friday. Even if it's just for a few minutes, you pray and then you get out. Okay, done, right? So like the little knowledge that's gotten to the people, we need to show them the benefit. Islam, the world is starting to shake. You see earthquakes, you see storms, the weather's not cooperating like it's supposed to. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala controls the weather. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever He's punished the people, He's punished them with the weather. Heat, cold, wind, storms, tsunamis. You think about it, earthquakes, ground shaking. This is how, these are reminders. I never speak for Allah. I'm not going to tell you if it's a punishment or not. I am going to tell you it's a reminder. These are reminders, and then we need to take these into reminders that as we're getting more and more into the depths of the dunya, into depths of this worldly life, and leaving away the spiritual life, this is causing us a problem, right? and you're seeing the separation, and you're seeing the problems the world is going through. We're going through similar problems unless you are connected to the deen of Allah and you're trying to stay with those people that are connected to the deen of Allah. Then you're the ones who are getting married properly, you're the ones who are in the proper family setting, you're the ones who are having the more success within the community. But others within our community, they're absolutely unsuccessful in the hereafter. They're only concentrating on the success of this life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. وأقول قولي هذا وأستغفر لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وأستغفر وأتوب إليك. Please, next generation, we have 2020 Masjid Isa ibn Maryam dinner and fundraiser. This is on Saturday, March 7th at 4 p.m. And so the family of four is very, very economically priced. Family of four for $50, and if one person wanted to come, $20. So I would recommend that if you are planning to come, ask a few brothers, maybe put your monies together, 4 brothers at a time, put 50 in, family of 4 inshallah ta'ala, and please come. This is at Masjid al-Rahman Ballroom. It's in Queens Village inshallah, Masjid al-Rahman Ballroom. It's not too far away from here inshallah. So please try to help us out. We really need to get more funds going. As you know, our gym right now is under construction. It's been taken out. We've been putting the steel in it, and now we're going to get our final shipment of steel coming in, inshallah. So we need more monies to come, and we need to keep the construction project going, inshallah. And you remember, inshallah, when you see this construction project completed, you're going to see, inshallah, our state-of-the-art gym. You're going to see the soccer field on top of the gym. You're going to see we have a whole new building for the school and the high school, the middle school, inshallah. This is going to bring a lot of benefit. The masjid is going to change as well. A full floor downstairs just for the sisters alone. They don't have to share space for us in the balcony and be stuck there or be stuck in the gym. Inshallah, an entire complete area for the sisters to pray as well. So we're doing a lot. We're going to have handicap access for our sisters as well, for our brothers and sisters who suffer from disabilities, inshallah. So we're upgrading the masjid. And so please try to support us, get the word out. If you're on social media, please try to get the word out on social media, inshallah, and please try to come and join us, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Is there any other?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salam warahmatullah. You can get the tickets from Sister Bibi and Brother Ismail.